The Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with excitement. 12 different alien species sat in their designated seats, their various forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes under the bright lights. At the center of the massive chamber, Admiral Vexithar of the Zephyrian Empire stood tall, his blue-scaled skin gleaming with pride. "Fellow council members," Vexithar announced, his voice echoing through the hall. "Today marks a great day for our galactic civilization. We have finally located the primitive world known as Sol 3, or as its inhabitants call it, Earth." A holographic display materialized above the Admiral's head, showing a small blue and green planet spinning slowly in space. The alien representatives leaned forward in their seats, curious about this new discovery. "These humans," Vexthar continued with a sneer, "are perhaps the most backward species we have ever encountered. Watch this." The hologram changed to show crude metal rockets launching from Earth's surface, belching fire and smoke like ancient torches. The council members began to chuckle. Next came images of primitive nuclear weapons exploding in test sites, followed by basic space stations that looked like metal cans floating in orbit. "They still use chemical propulsion," laughed Council Member Threx of the Mantid Collective, his insect-like head clicking with amusement. "My species abandoned such methods 3,000 years ago. Their weapons are laughably weak," added Representative Zora from the Crystal Courts, her crystalline body flashing with colors that indicated mirth. "A single council patrol ship could destroy their entire military." Admiral Vexthar nodded, clearly enjoying the reaction. "Indeed, these humans have not even achieved faster-than-light travel. They remain trapped in their single star system like insects in a web. Their technology is centuries behind our most basic civilian equipment." More images flashed across the hologram. Earth cities looked tiny compared to the massive metropolises that covered entire planets in council space. Their internet was primitive compared to quantum communication networks. Their medicine was crude compared to genetic engineering that could rebuild entire bodies. "We propose to annex the Sol system immediately," Vexthar declared. "The system contains rare minerals we need, and its location provides strategic value for our expansion into that galactic sector. The humans will be relocated to a reservation world where they can continue their primitive existence under our protection." The council members murmured their approval. This seemed like a simple matter. Primitive species were discovered regularly, and the standard procedure was well established. "Overwhelming force, quick surrender, minimal casualties. All in favor of immediate annexation?" asked Council Chairman Blex, his tentacles waving formally. 11 hands, claws, tentacles, and energy fields rose in agreement. But one figure remained still. Elder Kthamorei of the Void Walkers sat quietly in her ancient hover chair, her gray-skinned face lined with age and wisdom. At over 800 years old, she was the oldest serving council member. Her people, the Void Walkers, were among the first species to achieve space travel, and their archives contained knowledge from the dawn of galactic civilization. "Elder Kthamorei," Chairman Blex asked, "do you approve the annexation?" The old alien slowly raised her head. Her pale eyes, clouded with age, seemed to look far beyond the chamber walls. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. Yet somehow every being in the hall heard her clearly. "There are records," she said slowly. "Ancient records. From the first galactic civilization. Records that speak of humans." The chamber fell silent. The first galactic civilization was legendary. A mysterious empire that had ruled the galaxy millions of years ago before vanishing without a trace. Only fragments of their knowledge remained, scattered across various worlds. Admiral Vexthar's expression shifted from amusement to irritation. "Elder, with respect, these humans are clearly primitive. Whatever ancient records exist must refer to a different species with a similar name." But Kthamorei shook her head slowly. "The descriptions match. A bipedal species from the third planet of a yellow star. The records. They contain warnings. Warnings about their nature." "Warnings about what?" asked Representative Zora, her crystalline body now flickering with colors that indicated curiosity rather than amusement. Kthamorei closed her eyes, as if trying to remember something from long ago. "The fragments are unclear, but they speak of terrible potential. Of a species that does not yield, that adapts, that becomes more dangerous when cornered." Admiral Vexithar snorted. "Elder, I mean no disrespect, but you are describing every predator species in the galaxy. The humans are not predators. Look at their world. They live in peace with dozens of other species. They keep animals as companions. They create art and music. They are clearly a peaceful, civilized people who simply lack advanced technology. Perhaps, Kthamorei whispered. Perhaps the records are wrong. Or perhaps they refer to something else entirely. The other council members shifted uncomfortably. Elder Kthamorei was respected for her vast knowledge, but she was also very old. Some whispered that her mind was beginning to fail. Chairman Blex cleared his throat. Thank you for your input, Elder. However, without more concrete evidence, we cannot delay a simple annexation based on fragmentary ancient texts. The vote stands 11-1. Admiral Vexthar, you are authorized to proceed with the conquest of the Sol system. Vexthar bowed formally. Thank you, Chairman. I estimate the operation will be complete within 1 solar month. These humans will hardly know what happened before they find themselves under the protection of galactic civilization. The council session ended with the usual formalities, but Elder Kthamorei remained in her seat long after the others had left. Her ancient mind was troubled by memories she could not quite grasp, fragments of knowledge that seemed to dance just beyond her reach. Finally, she activated her hover chair and glided slowly back to her quarters. The Void Walker section of the council station was darker than the others, built to accommodate her people's preference for minimal lighting. Ancient symbols covered the walls, and the air carried the scent of old books and older secrets. In her private study, Kthamorei accessed the deepest archives of her people. Files that had not been opened for centuries materialized as holograms around her. Most were written in languages so old that translation was approximate at best. She searched through records of the first galactic civilization, looking for any mention of humans or the Sol system. Most files were corrupted or incomplete, but slowly, pieces began to emerge. A fragment from a military report. The humans possessed the fire of ancient gods in their hearts. Another piece from a diplomatic record. Negotiation with the human colonies has failed. They refuse all terms of surrender. A piece of what might have been a warning message. They do not fight as we fight. They do not think as we think. They adapt faster than we can respond. And finally, a fragment that made her old blood run cold. Recommendation: avoid contact with human space at all costs. They become more dangerous with each defeat. They learn from every encounter. They never forget. They never forgive. They never stop. Elder Kthamorei sat back in her chair, her hands trembling slightly. The fragments were incomplete, possibly mistranslated, maybe even referring to a completely different species. But something deep in her ancient bones told her they were real. And if they were real, then Admiral Vexthar and his fleet were flying toward disaster. She tried to contact the Admiral's ship, but it had already entered hyperspace. The Zephyrian fleet was committed to their course of action. All she could do now was wait and hope that her fears were unfounded. But as she sat alone in her dark study, surrounded by the whispers of ancient knowledge, Elder Kthamorei could not shake the feeling that the galaxy was about to learn a terrible lesson about the danger of ignoring warnings from the past. The Zephyrian First Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, like a pack of metal predators emerging from the darkness. 200 ships strong, their hulls gleaming with advanced armor and bristling with weapons that could crack planets. Admiral Vexthar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Glory, and smiled with satisfaction. "Sensor report," he commanded. "Sir," replied his tactical officer, "we are detecting primitive settlements throughout the outer system. Mining platforms on asteroids, research stations orbiting the gas giants, and what appears to be a small colony on one of the distant planetary bodies." "Good," Vexthar said. "And their response to our arrival?" "We are receiving a transmission from the inner system, sir. It appears to be coming from the third planet, Earth." "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, showing a simple blue background with text written in what the translator identified as English. A calm mechanical voice read the words aloud. "Unknown vessels, you are trespassing in human space. This is your only warning. Leave immediately or face the consequences." The bridge crew erupted in laughter. Several officers nearly fell from their stations, clutching their sides. Even the normally serious Admiral Vexthar could not suppress a chuckle. "Did they just threaten us?" asked Commander Zeltar, wiping tears of mirth from his scaled face. 200 advanced warships, and they threaten us with consequences?" "Sir," the communications officer managed between giggles, Should we respond? Admiral Vexithar composed himself. Yes. Tell them that we represent the Galactic Council and that their system is now under our protection. They should prepare for immediate surrender and relocation procedures. The message was sent. The response came back within minutes, again just text on a blue screen. Negative. This is human space. You have been warned. Such defiance, Vexithar mused. They clearly do not understand the situation. Tactical, target that mining platform on asteroid designation ZX7. Destroy it. Let us show these humans the reality of their position. Sir, the platform appears to have civilians aboard. Then they will serve as an example to the others. Fire. A brilliant beam of energy lanced across space, striking the small mining platform. The explosion was brief but complete, turning metal and rock into glowing debris. On the bridge of the eternal glory, the crew watched with satisfaction. Now, Vexithar said, surely they will see reason. Communications, any response? Sir, the outer system settlements are going dark. All of them. Their signals just stopped. Vexithar frowned. Equipment failure? Panic? Unknown, sir. But we are detecting small craft departing from several platforms before they went offline. How many craft? Difficult to say, sir. They are very small, and their engine signatures are unusual. Our sensors are having trouble tracking them. This was puzzling but not concerning. Primitive evacuation procedures, no doubt. Vexithar ordered the fleet to advance toward Earth, expecting to find a planet ready to surrender after witnessing his demonstration of power. Instead, they found something unexpected. As the Zephyrian ships approached the outer settlements, they discovered that the humans had not fled in panic. The facilities were indeed abandoned, but they had been systematically rigged with nuclear devices. When Zephyrian boarding parties tried to investigate, they triggered massive explosions that damaged several ships. These humans booby-trapped their own facilities, reported Commander Zeltar, his amusement replaced by confusion. Who destroys their own property rather than let it be captured? Before Vexithar could answer, his tactical officer called out urgently, Sir, contact bearing 27 Mark V, multiple small vessels approaching at high speed. On screen, the viewer showed a dozen sleek craft racing toward the Zephyrian formation. They were smaller than fighters, more like armed shuttles, but they moved with surprising speed and grace. Primitive interceptors, Vexithar dismissed. Destroy them. But the human ships did not behave like any interceptors the Zephyrians had ever encountered. They split apart in complex patterns, weaving between the much larger alien vessels with impossible precision. When the Zephyrians fired their weapons, the human ships seemed to anticipate the shots, dodging with split-second timing. Worse, the humans fought like madmen. When one of their ships was damaged beyond repair, instead of ejecting or surrendering, the pilot aimed his crippled vessel directly at a Zephyrian cruiser and rammed it at full speed. The explosion tore a massive hole in the alien ship's hull. Did he just sacrifice himself to damage our ship? Commander Zeltar asked in disbelief. Sir, the tactical officer reported, his voice shaken. We are detecting more human craft throughout the system. They appear to be converging on our position from multiple directions. The battle that followed defied everything Vexithar knew about warfare. The humans did not fight to win in any conventional sense. They fought to hurt the Zephyrians as much as possible, even when victory was impossible. Their ships were indeed primitive by galactic standards, but they were fast, maneuverable, and piloted by beings who seemed to have no fear of death. Human tactics made no sense. They would sacrifice 3 ships to destroy one Zephyrian vessel, and somehow their remaining pilots fought even harder after watching their comrades die. They used their own destroyed ships as weapons, ramming them into alien craft or detonating them as improvised bombs. Most disturbing was their apparent coordination. The human pilots communicated on frequencies the Zephyrians could not intercept, and they moved like parts of a single organism. When one group engaged the aliens from the front, another would always attack from behind or above. They seemed to know where every Zephyrian ship was at all times. Sir, his communications officer reported, we are receiving another transmission from Earth. Put it through. This time, instead of text, a human face appeared on the screen. It was a middle-aged male with gray hair and calm blue eyes. He wore what appeared to be a military uniform. I am Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force, the human said in accented but clear galactic standard. You have invaded our space and killed our people. This is your final opportunity to withdraw. Vexithar stared at the human in amazement. You threaten me? I command 200 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy. Your entire species uses technology my people discarded centuries ago. Admiral Chen's expression did not change. Numbers do not determine the outcome of a war, Admiral. Will and preparation do. You came here expecting conquest. We have been preparing for this day for over a century. Leave now or learn the difference. A century? Vexthar laughed. You could not possibly have known about us a century ago. We have known about galactic civilization since we first developed deep space telescopes, Chen replied calmly. We have been watching you watch us. We know your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses. We have been preparing. The transmission ended. Vexthar stood in stunned silence for a moment, then shook his head. Bluff and bluster from a primitive species, his fleet had lost perhaps 30 ships to desperate suicide attacks. But he still commanded overwhelming force. All ships, he commanded, advance to Earth. These humans need to learn the cost of defying the Galactic Council. But as the Zephyrian fleet moved deeper into the Sol system, strange things began to happen. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking without warning and vanishing before the aliens could respond. The attacks were perfectly coordinated, as if the humans could see through the eyes of every ship simultaneously. Worse, the Zephyrian ships began experiencing technical problems. Navigation systems glitched, weapons powered down at crucial moments, communications became unreliable. It was as if something was interfering with their technology. But their sensors detected no jamming signals. By the time Earth came into view, Admiral Vexthar had lost 50 ships and was beginning to understand that he had seriously underestimated his opponent. The blue and green planet ahead looked peaceful and defenseless, but he no longer trusted appearances. Sir, his tactical officer said quietly, recommend we request reinforcements from the Council. Vexthar's pride rebelled against the idea, but his military training told him the officer was right. These humans were not behaving like any species in the galactic database. They fought with a ferocity and coordination that suggested military experience far beyond what their technology should allow. Send the message, he ordered. Request immediate deployment of the combined fleet. As the communication array sent the urgent message toward Council space, Vexthar stared at the planet ahead and wondered what other surprises the humans might have waiting for him. Earth hung in space like a peaceful blue marble, its white clouds swirling gently over green continents and azure oceans. From orbit, it looked exactly as the Galactic Council's intelligence reports had described. A quiet, pastoral world home to a primitive but harmonious civilization. Admiral Vexthar studied the planet through his flagship's sensors, searching for signs of the military resistance his fleet had encountered in the outer system, but Earth appeared defenseless. A few small space stations orbited lazily around the planet, and there were some basic satellites, but nothing that looked like serious military hardware. Sir, reported his tactical officer. Orbital scan complete. We detect no significant weapons platforms, no defensive shields, no military installations of note. The planet appears to be exactly as our initial intelligence suggested. Vexthar nodded slowly, but something felt wrong. The humans they had fought in the outer system had displayed tactical knowledge and coordination, far beyond what a primitive species should possess. Yet their homeworld looked completely undefended. What about those space stations? He asked. Basic civilian platforms, sir. Scientific research, communications, and what appears to be a small commercial facility. Nothing that could threaten a single one of our ships, let alone the fleet. And that large gray satellite? The one orbiting closest to the planet? Natural satellite, sir. What the humans call the moon. Solid rock, no artificial structures detected. Admiral Vexthar considered his options. He had lost nearly 50 ships to human resistance, but he still commanded over 150 vessels, more than enough to demand Earth's surrender. Open a channel to the planet, he ordered. Channel open. Sir, people of Earth, Vexthar announced, his voice being broadcast across every frequency the humans used for communication. I am Admiral Vexthar of the Zephyrian Empire, speaking for the Galactic Council. Your outer system defenses have been defeated. Your planet is surrounded. Surrender immediately, and your people will be relocated peacefully to a world where you can continue your existence under Council protection. The response came from the same Admiral Chen who had spoken earlier. This time, The human appeared to be standing in some kind of command center with other uniformed humans working at stations behind him. "Admiral Vexthar," Chen said calmly, "I repeat my earlier offer. Leave our system now and no further harm will come to your fleet." "Further harm?" Vexthar laughed. "Human, you have lost every encounter. Your people fought bravely. I will grant you that. But courage cannot overcome superior technology and numbers. Look around you. Your world has no defenses." Admiral Chen smiled slightly. "Are you certain about that?" Something in the human's tone made Vexthar uneasy. "What do you mean?" "Computer, initiate Planetary Defense Protocol Omega," Chen said, speaking to someone off-screen. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then slowly, Earth began to change. The small space stations around the planet suddenly unfolded like metal flowers, revealing weapon systems that had been hidden within their innocent-looking civilian shells. What had appeared to be simple solar panels extended into massive energy collectors, and what looked like communication arrays transformed into targeting systems. But that was only the beginning. The moon, which had appeared to be solid rock, began to split apart along perfectly straight lines. Massive sections of the surface slid away, revealing that the entire satellite had been hollowed out and converted into the largest fortress Vexthar had ever seen. The interior bristled with weapons unlike anything in the galactic database, strange devices that seemed to bend light and space around them. "Impossible," whispered his tactical officer. Earth itself was transforming. What had looked like cities were revealing their true nature as massive military installations. Mountains opened to reveal launch facilities. Lakes drained away to uncover weapon platforms. Even the clouds seemed to be moving in unnatural patterns, as if the planet's weather systems were under artificial control. "Sir," his sensor operator called out in a voice tight with fear, "I am detecting energy signatures unlike anything in our database. These weapons, I cannot even classify them. How is this possible?" Vexthar demanded, staring at the displays in shock. "Our intelligence reports." "Your intelligence saw exactly what we wanted you to see," Admiral Chen replied. "For over 100 years we have known about galactic civilization. We have studied every signal, every transmission, every piece of technology that reached our system. We learned about your ships, your weapons, your tactics, and we prepared." On the tactical display, more human ships were appearing, but these were nothing like the crude vessels the Zephyrians had encountered earlier. Sleek, advanced craft that seemed to phase in and out of normal space using technology that looked impossible. "We reverse-engineered every piece of alien technology we could find," Chen continued. "Crashed scout ships, debris from ancient battles that drifted into our system, even transmissions that contained enough technical data for our scientists to work with. Then we improved upon everything we learned. A new type of weapon fired from the moon, creating what looked like a controlled black hole that swept through space. When it passed near a Zephyrian ship, the vessel simply ceased to exist, not destroyed but apparently erased from reality." "You were studying us," Chen said. "But we were studying you as well. We know the weaknesses of every ship design in your fleet. We have viruses designed specifically for your computer systems. We have weapons tailored to penetrate your armor and shields." Vexthar watched in horror as his sensors detected something even more disturbing than the impossible weapons. Every human on Earth seemed to be moving with perfect coordination. Adults were taking positions at weapon systems, while children helped with logistics and elderly humans operated communication arrays. The entire planet was functioning like a single military unit. "But it is not just our technology you should fear," Admiral Chen said quietly. "It is what we are. You studied our species, but you misunderstood what you saw. You thought we were peaceful because we live in harmony with other species on our world. You thought we were weak because we create art and music. You thought we were divided because we have different nations and cultures." The human's image changed, showing scenes from across Earth. Everywhere, humans of all ages and backgrounds were working together with precision that seemed impossible for individual minds. "But we are pack hunters," Chen continued. "We evolved as persistence predators who could chase prey across continents. We are social creatures who can coordinate across vast distances. When threatened, we do not scatter or panic. We unite. Every human becomes part of the defense. Every civilian becomes a warrior. Every weakness becomes a strength. More impossible weapons fired from Earth and its moon. Gravitational beams that crushed ships like empty cans. Energy fields that seemed to stop time itself around their targets. projectiles that moved faster than light and struck without warning. "Sir," Vexthar's communications officer reported, his voice shaking. "We are receiving signals that suggest the humans are jamming our hyperspace engines. We cannot retreat. Then we fight," Vexthar declared, but his voice lacked conviction. "All ships engage the enemy." The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with everything they had, but the humans seemed to anticipate every shot. Their ships moved in patterns that defied physics, dodging weapons fire that should have been impossible to avoid. Worse, they were not just defending. Human ships were appearing throughout the Zephyrian formation, striking from directions that should have been empty space. "How are they doing this?" Vexthar demanded. "Sir," his science officer replied, "I believe they are using some form of quantum entanglement communication. Every human ship, every weapon platform, every individual human appears to be connected through a network that allows instantaneous coordination across any distance." Admiral Chen's voice came through the communication system one more time. "We offered you the chance to leave peacefully. You chose war instead. Now you will learn why our ancestors left warnings in the galactic archives. We do not fight wars to win territory or resources. We fight wars to ensure our survival, and we never lose." The battle became a massacre. Human weapons that violated known physics tore through Zephyrian ships, while human vessels phased through solid matter to attack from within their formation. The aliens' superior numbers meant nothing when every human unit could coordinate with every other human unit across the entire star system, as his flagship shook under weapons fire from sources he could not even detect. Admiral Vexthar finally understood the terrible truth. The humans had not been surprised by first contact. They had been waiting for it. Everything about their appearance of primitiveness had been carefully crafted deception, designed to lure potential enemies into a false sense of security. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we have lost over half the fleet. Recommend immediate surrender." But even as Vexthar considered this option, he realized it might already be too late. The humans had demonstrated technology beyond anything the Galactic Council possessed. If they could defeat a fleet of 200 ships this easily, what would they do when the Council inevitably sent a larger force? On his screen, Admiral Chen was still speaking. "We have sent a message to your Galactic Council. We have informed them that humanity claims the Sol system, and all approaches to the emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in chaos. Representatives from 12 species filled the Great Chamber. Their voices raised in angry debate as holographic displays showed the devastating footage from Admiral Vexthar's defeat at Earth. Of the 200 ships in the Zephyrian First Fleet, only 37 had limped back to Council space. The survivors brought with them sensor recordings that seemed to defy physics and tactical reports that read like science fiction. "Impossible," declared Representative Threx of the Mantid Collective, his insect head clicking rapidly with agitation. "No single world could possess such technology. The humans must have allies we do not know about." "The sensor data does not lie," replied Admiral Corex of the Stellar Navy, a grizzled veteran of a dozen campaigns. "These humans have technology that exceeds our own by centuries, possibly millennia. Their weapons violate fundamental laws of physics." Chairman Blex raised his tentacles for order. "We must respond to this threat immediately. No primitive world can be allowed to humiliate the combined might of galactic civilization." "Admiral Corex, what are our options?" The old warrior straightened in his chair. "I have prepared the combined fleet, Mr. Chairman. Every member species has contributed their finest ships. We have assembled over 2,000 vessels representing the pinnacle of galactic military might. Nothing in recorded history has ever withstood such a force." Representative Zora of the Crystal Courts flickered with colors indicating skepticism. "Admiral, with respect, the Zephyrians also believed they possessed overwhelming force. These humans destroyed nearly 200 ships with apparent ease." "The Zephyrians underestimated their enemy," Corex replied firmly. "We will not make the same mistake. The combined fleet includes reality bender ships from the Void Walkers, quantum destroyers from the Crystalline Empire, and temporal displacement weapons from the Chronarch hegemony. Even if the humans possess advanced technology, they cannot stand against the united fleets of 12 civilizations." Elder Kthamorei, who had remained silent throughout the debate, finally spoke. "I have translated more of the ancient fragments. The warnings about humans are clearer now." The chamber fell quiet. Despite her age, Kthamorei commanded respect for her vast knowledge. "The records speak of humanity's true nature," she continued, her voice heavy with dread. "They do not fight as we fight. They do not think as we think. Every defeat makes them stronger. Every battle teaches them new ways to kill. The ancient writers called them evolution incarnate, a species that adapts faster than any other can respond." "Myths and legends," scoffed Admiral Corex. "Elder, I respect your scholarship, but we cannot base military strategy on ancient superstitions." Chairman Blex nodded. "The Admiral is correct. We face a technological challenge, not a mystical one. The combined fleet will demonstrate that no single world can threaten the established order of the galaxy." The vote was swift and unanimous. Within days, the largest military force in galactic history was assembled and dispatched toward the Sol system. 2,000 ships from 12 different species, representing millions of years of combined technological development. Admiral Corex commanded from the bridge of the super dreadnought Galactic Unity, a ship so massive it could house entire cities within its hull. As the combined fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of human space, he felt confident that this show of force would end the human threat once and for all. "Sensor report," he commanded. "Sir, detecting massive defensive installations throughout the Sol system. The humans appear to have been busy since our last contact." Corex studied the tactical displays with growing unease. The Sol system was no longer recognizable. Every planet had been transformed into a fortress world. Asteroid belts had been converted into weapons platforms. Even the space between planets was filled with defensive structures that defied classification. "How is this possible?" he muttered. "It has been only weeks since the Zephyrian defeat. They could not have built all this in such a short time." "Sir," his science officer replied, "analysis suggests these installations were already present, but somehow hidden from our sensors. The humans appear to have been preparing for large-scale warfare for decades, possibly centuries. 2,000 ships," Corex reminded himself aloud. "Even if they have been preparing, no single species can match the combined might of galactic civilization." A communication request came from Earth. Admiral Corex accepted it, expecting to receive a surrender offer from humans finally faced with impossible odds. Instead, Admiral Chen appeared on the main screen looking as calm as ever. Behind him, Corex could see what appeared to be a massive command center filled with humans working at stations that seemed to incorporate technology from every known galactic species. "Admiral Corex," Chen said politely, "welcome to Sol System. I am required to inform you that you are trespassing in human space and that your fleet will be destroyed if you do not withdraw immediately." Corex stared at the human in disbelief. "You threaten me? Admiral, I command 2,000 of the most advanced warships ever assembled. Behind me stand the combined fleets of 12 civilizations spanning thousands of worlds. Surrender now and your species will be treated with mercy." Chen's expression did not change. "Admiral, we have been monitoring your approach for weeks. We have analyzed every ship in your fleet, cataloged every weapon system, and identified the weaknesses in every design. Your fleet is impressive, but it is also predictable. Impossible. Our technology represents millions of years of development across dozens of species." "Yes," Chen agreed. "And we have had access to all of it. Every signal you have ever broadcast, every technological exchange between council species, every scientific discovery you have shared openly across galactic networks. We have been watching, learning, and preparing." Admiral Corex felt a chill run down his spine. "You are saying you have been spying on galactic civilization for centuries?" "Not spying, learning. Your civilizations broadcast everything across open channels. Scientific research, military specifications, tactical doctrines. You assumed that any species advanced enough to receive such transmissions would already be part of your council. You never considered that someone might be listening and preparing." The human gestured to something off-screen. Immediately, the combined fleet sensors detected new contacts appearing throughout the system. Ships that looked like they incorporated technology from every galactic species, but refined and improved beyond recognition. "You see, Admiral, humans have one advantage your species lack. We learn from conflict. Every war teaches us new ways to fight. Every enemy shows us new weaknesses to exploit. Your fleet represents the greatest military challenge our species has ever faced, and we are grateful for the opportunity to grow stronger." "Sir," Corex's tactical officer reported urgently, Enemy contacts are increasing exponentially. They appear to be using some form of instantaneous construction technology. On the display, human ships were literally growing in space, assembling themselves from streams of raw materials with impossible speed. Worse, each new vessel incorporated design elements from the combined fleet itself, as if the humans were reverse engineering galactic technology in real time. "This is impossible," Corex breathed. "Admiral," Chen continued, "you should know that humanity has not been idle since your first incursion. We have evolved. Every member of our species is now connected through quantum consciousness networks. We think as one mind when necessary, but retain individual creativity and initiative. We are simultaneously one organism and 7 billion individuals." The battle began without formal declaration. Human ships simply appeared throughout the combined fleet formation, striking from directions that should have been empty space. Their weapons were indeed impossible, devices that seemed to rewrite local physics, turning the galaxy's most advanced shields into tissue paper. But it was not just the technology that horrified Admiral Corex. It was the way the humans fought. They coordinated with perfect precision across thousands of light years, as if every ship and every weapon was controlled by a single superhuman intelligence. Yet they also displayed individual creativity, with each human commander adapting their tactics in real time based on lessons learned by every other human unit. "They are learning from every exchange," his tactical officer reported in amazement. "Every time we damage one of their ships, the rest immediately adapt their defenses. Every time we score a hit, they modify their tactics to prevent it from happening again." The combined fleet tried every weapon, every tactic, every strategy in the galactic military database. The humans countered each one, often within minutes of first encountering it. Worse, they seemed to be deliberately prolonging the battle, as if they wanted to study every possible galactic military capability. "Sir," his communications officer announced, receiving reports from throughout the fleet. "The humans are not just fighting us, they are studying us. Their sensor scans are more detailed than our own internal diagnostics. They appear to be learning everything about our technology, our tactics, our weaknesses." Admiral Corex realized with growing horror that this battle was not about conquest. It was about education. The humans were using the combined fleet as a learning. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any in recorded history. Of the 2,000 ships that had comprised the combined fleet, fewer than 200 had returned. The proud representatives of 12 civilizations sat in stunned silence as Admiral Corex delivered his report. "Total defeat," he said quietly, his voice barely carrying across the vast chamber. "Not just military defeat, but technological humiliation. The humans possess capabilities that render our entire understanding of physics obsolete." Representative Threx of the Mantid Collective clicked nervously. "Admiral, surely you exaggerate. No single species could possess such overwhelming superiority." "I wish I were exaggerating," Corex replied. "The humans did not just defeat us, they studied us. Every weapon we fired, every tactic we employed, every piece of technology we brought to bear, they analyzed and countered within minutes. By the end of the engagement, they were predicting our actions before we made them." Chairman Blex's tentacles writhed with agitation. "What are you saying, Admiral?" "I am saying that humanity has learned everything there is to know about our military capabilities, our technology, and our weaknesses. And we learned almost nothing about theirs." The chamber erupted in frightened chatter as the implications sank in. If the humans possessed overwhelming technological superiority, and now understood galactic military doctrine completely, what would they do with that knowledge? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. Within days of the combined fleet's return, human ships began appearing throughout galactic space, not in large fleets or invasion formations, but as individual vessels that seemed to materialize from nowhere. They appeared in orbit around major worlds, in the shipping lanes between systems, and even within heavily defended Council territory. The ships themselves were impossible to classify. They incorporated design elements from every known galactic species, but refined and improved beyond recognition. They moved through space using propulsion systems that violated fundamental laws of physics, and they possessed sensor capabilities that could apparently detect any activity within light years. But most terrifying of all, the humans were not conquering. They were exploring, Trade vessel Prosperity requesting emergency assistance came a panicked transmission from the commercial shipping lanes. Unknown ship has appeared alongside us. They are scanning everything. Our cargo, our ship design, our crew. They have not responded to any communication attempts. Similar reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human ships would appear without warning, conduct detailed scans of whatever they encountered, and then vanish just as mysteriously. They showed no interest in attacking or conquering, but their presence was utterly terrifying to beings who had just witnessed the destruction of the greatest military force in galactic history. The galactic economy began to collapse. Trade routes became unreliable as merchant ships reported human vessels appearing in their paths. Some traders were scanned and released. Others were apparently taken aboard the human ships for what seemed to be detailed interviews before being returned with their memories strangely hazy about the experience. "They are studying us," reported the Council's chief intelligence officer. "Every aspect of our civilization, our technology, our biology, our culture. The humans appear to have an insatiable curiosity about everything." Chairman Bleck struggled to maintain order as panic spread through the member species. "What do they want? Why are they doing this?" Elder Kthamorei, who had remained silent through most of the crisis, finally spoke from her hover chair. "I have completed my translation of the ancient archives. The full warning is now clear." The chamber fell silent. After everything that had happened, the old Voidwalkers. Words carried weight that no one could ignore. The original galactic civilization, our predecessors who ruled this galaxy millions of years ago. They left very specific warnings about humanity, but we misunderstood their purpose. Kthamorei activated a holographic display showing ancient text in the flowing script of the vanished civilization. The warnings were not meant to help us avoid humanity. They were meant to prepare us for humanity's return. "Return?" Chairman Blex asked. "Humanity did not evolve on Earth," Kthamorei explained, her voice heavy with revelation. "They were placed there. The original galactic civilization created them as a failsafe, a species designed to awaken only when the galaxy had grown complacent and weak." The ancient text scrolled past, its translation appearing in modern galactic standard. "When the young civilizations grow proud and stagnant, when they believe themselves masters of the cosmos, when they forget the lessons of humility and growth, then shall the gardeners return to tend the galaxy once more." Gardeners? Representative Zora of the Crystal Courts flickered with confused colors. "Humanity was designed to be evolution incarnate," Kthamorei continued. "A species that learns, adapts, and grows stronger with each challenge. They were created to serve as guardians of galactic development, ensuring that civilization never becomes static or corrupt." More text appeared, describing humanity's true nature. "They shall appear primitive until awakened, then reveal the accumulated knowledge of ages. They shall study all things, learn from all encounters, and guide the galaxy toward its next stage of development. They are not conquerors but teachers, not destroyers but cultivators." The chamber absorbed this information in stunned silence. Everything made sense now. Humanity's incredible adaptability, their impossible technology, their insatiable curiosity about galactic civilization. A new transmission appeared on the main screen. Admiral Chen stood in what appeared to be a vast library, filled with information about every galactic species. Behind him, other humans worked at stations displaying real-time data from across the galaxy. "Greetings, Galactic Council," Chen said formally. "We believe it is time for a proper introduction. I am Admiral Chen, speaking for humanity in our capacity as galactic gardeners." Chairman Blex found his voice. "Gardeners? Our role is to ensure the continued growth and development of galactic civilization. For the past million years, we have been dormant, allowing your species to develop naturally. But our monitoring systems detected that galactic civilization has become stagnant. Images appeared showing the state of the galaxy, the same technologies used for millennia, the same political structures, the same social patterns. Civilization had indeed grown comfortable and unchanging. Your response to first contact with humanity confirmed our analysis. Rather than approaching us with curiosity and openness, you chose immediate conquest. Rather than trying to learn from a new species, you sought to dominate us. This indicates that galactic civilization has lost its capacity for growth." Chen gestured, and the display changed to show human activities across the galaxy. We are now conducting a comprehensive evaluation of all galactic species, their technologies, their societies, and their potential for development. Based on our findings, we will determine how best to guide the galaxy toward its next evolutionary stage. And if we refuse your guidance, Admiral Corex asked, though his voice lacked conviction. Chen's expression remained calm. Admiral, you have seen our capabilities. We do not need your permission to fulfill our purpose. However, we hope to work with willing partners rather than reluctant subjects. Species that embrace growth and learning will find us valuable allies. Those that resist change will discover why our creators designed us to be irresistible. The transmission continued with details of humanity's plans. They would establish research stations throughout the galaxy to study local conditions. They would share selected technologies with species that showed promise for development. They would intervene directly in conflicts that threatened galactic stability. Most importantly, they would ensure that no species ever again became comfortable with stagnation. The age of galactic childhood is ending, Chen announced. We are here to guide your species toward maturity, whether you welcome our help or not. The galaxy must grow, must evolve, must become more than it has been. This is not negotiable. The transmission ended, leaving the council chambers in silence. Elder Kthamorei spoke one final time. The ancient records end with this passage. Blessed are those who embrace the gardener's wisdom, for they shall inherit the stars. But woe to those who resist the path of growth, for they shall be pruned away like dead branches. As the council members contemplated this revelation, reports continued to arrive from across the galaxy. Humanity was everywhere now, studying, learning, and beginning the great work of galactic cultivation. The age of comfortable stagnation was over. The galaxy would grow and evolve, guided by a species that had been designed for this very purpose. The ancient warning had not been about avoiding humanity, it had been about preparing for the day when humanity would return to fulfill their destiny as shepherds of galactic civilization. And, for those species wise enough to embrace change, the future would be brighter than they had ever imagined. For those who resisted, the price would indeed be final. The galaxy belonged to humanity now, not through conquest but through inheritance, and they intended to make sure it reached its full potential, no matter what the cost.